Hello everyone, welcome to another real-time colored pencil drawing tutorial, and today we're going to focus on blending this. This is already layered, and if you haven't seen the live drawing or the live video on how I layered these fingers, the link is down on the comment section. But today I'm going to focus on blending this because, as you can see, this is not yet blended. This is layered but not yet blended, and the technique that I'm going to use to blend this is the most widely used technique, very simple, which is the burnishing technique. But there's nothing to burnish if there's no layers of color. So this has a lot of colors in it, and now I'm ready to burnish. As you can see, the tooth of the paper is still there. So you want a paper with tooth, even though this paper is smooth, it's a crystal smooth, but as you can see, it still has this beautiful textures or tooth of the paper, and you don't want to see the tooth of the paper at the what do you call this, the final look of your drawing, but you want them during layering because you want to be able to layer as many colors as needed for your portrait. So let's do the burnishing. Let's blend this. See this now. There are actually different styles of burnishing, especially wax-based colored pencils like this one, the Prismacolor Premier. And because the oil-based pencils, I don't normally use the typical burnishing on them because they are oil-based. But with wax-based, these are perfect for the technique, which is the burnishing. But every artist has different ways of doing the burnishing technique. But what I'm going to show you is a style that really fits me. So this is my style. I like to burnish when everything is already layered like this. So I take time to layer first the skin tone to build on the shadows, to blacken the shadows, and then to add the details. So I'm not worrying on the smoothness and the blending at the start of the process. So this is already layered and satisfied with all the colors that I used here. Again, if you want to see how I did this live, the link is on the comment. But today I'm just gonna simply show you how I'm gonna blend all this, and this is going to be really nice and smooth, and you can see it right now live and in real time. So this is it. Now what I do is I choose, well, actually normally I would blend or burnish using white, but when I was starting, I only use white to burnish my portraits. But I realized that sometimes white has the tendency to lessen the saturation of the shadows, or to fade the shadows a little bit, and I don't want to go back to, after burnishing, to go back and use to be able to replenish the lost intensity of the shadows, and I don't want to do that. That's why I decided to always look for a very light pencil to be able to burnish the darker shadows, and not to use the white on them because it has the tendency to fade them out. But using pencils like this, these are pencils that would blend or burnish the darker shadows but do not fade them. So the intensity of the shadow, the darkness of the shadows will remain, and at the same time it doesn't affect the tone of the shadow very much, because this is really nice. And because if you use like the more saturated light color or pencil than this one, it has the tendency to affect the shadow. It can brighten up the shadow a little bit, but this one is nice and pale. So what I can safely say right now is that the burnisher, aside from the white that you will choose, depends on your shadows. It really depends on the skin tone. If the skin tone is very vividly saturated, then you can use flesh tones or flesh colored pencils to burnish. But here I can see that the skin tone is a little bit pale and not very saturated. That's why I use this kind of color. But I can say right now, as I use this on other parts already right here, I can say that this doesn't affect the coloration very much, but it's very effective to blend the colors. So I can say that if you are looking for something that is very versatile on all types of skin tone, I think this pencil is something that you need to burnish aside from the white. This color is called the peach beige. So if you are into an open stock Prismacolor, you can purchase the peach beige because they will be very versatile on all types of skin tone, and you can see it here right now. So I'm gonna use it on the darker shadows right here, basically on the edge of the fingers, here and here. As you can see here are the darker shadows that you want to blend or burnish using this peach beige pencil. Now I'm gonna start to burnish the darker shadows right now, and then after this the white. So you will see it right now. Burnishing the pencils doesn't have to be sharp. The burnisher, the pencil that you use for burnishing, and in this case I'm gonna use this peach beige. And what I do is apply a little bit of pressure, maybe medium to heavy pressure depending on the tooth of the paper. If you can see that the tooth of the paper is already flattened, and you can no longer see the tooth of the paper, then I think that's enough. So now I'm burnishing using circular motion, and I don't think there's a need to apply heavy pressure because this is a smooth paper. This is smooth crystal, so the tooth is going to be very easy to flatten, unlike the vellum surface. But With a vellum surface paper, you can use it if your reference photo has more dark shadows, and you need to be able to capture the darkness, the vividness of the shadows using the vellum paper. But generally, Prismacolor works really well on smooth Bristol paper. But the word smooth is not totally a paper with no tooth at all. That is not what the smooth is. The smooth paper, the Bristol smooth, the Strathmore, this one is not totally smooth. It has very nice texture, which is a little bit smoother compared to the vellum surface, which has a darker, rather bigger textures to it, but would capture more layers compared to this one. But this one still has tooth to burnish or to flatten. And what you can see here is the process of blending and achieving smoother and well-blended skin tone using this technique, the most popular technique with colored pencil, which is the burnishing. You can see here, after we were able to blend or burnish some parts, this color or the skin tone is what I really expect based on my reference photo. And this pencil, the peach beige, doesn't really affect the tone that I want for the skin tone. But I can see that it added, which is perfect for this type of skin tone. It added a little bit of a greenish tone to the skin tone, and that is exactly how I want the skin tone to be based on my reference photo. But these are what I expect when I layered this part of the skin tone on her fingers. When I layered several colors here, this is what I wanted to see towards the end. And yeah, it doesn't alter, this blender doesn't alter the tone that I wanted as an end result for this. So I wanna press harder on darker shadows, and I wanna add a little bit of a little pressure on the lighter shadows right here. So it depends on the intensity or the pressure that you put. You put harder pressure on the darker shadows and lighter pressure on the light part. I realized that most of you who've been watching my channel, and especially the new ones and everyone, the beginners, want this kind of video more than the faster, what do you call that video, the time-lapse video. And I'm glad that you prefer this kind of tutorial, the slower one, even though these videos can be a little bit longer and a little bit boring. But I try my best to show you in real time the exact process, especially the blending, which is one of the most challenging part of drawing using colored pencils. But now I'm showing you this technique because this is basically the first blending technique that you should learn as a beginner with colored pencils. This is the burnishing technique, and this peach beige is doing a very nice job. Very quickly, it was able to almost blend everything well, and as you can see here, it doesn't really affect the coloration or the tone of the skin, but it was able to blend especially the darker shadows. Part of the of her shoulders right here is very dark, so I'm gonna use a little bit more of pressure right here to blend and to burnish, and to, as you can see here, this pencil is giving me the darkness that I want for my shadows without fading them out. So yeah, but it all starts with layering. So you need to be able to layer correctly, layer after layer, all the colors that is needed for the skin tone. And again, if you want to see the exact live layering for this one, because now I'm just showing you the blending, but I layered this on a separate live video. You can see the link below to see how we came up with this skin tone right here. So if you noticed, I didn't burnish very much the middle light tones of the fingers, because that is left for the white to blend or to burnish the white pencil. Ready to complete the burnishing using the ultimate burnisher, the white. And this is not just a burnisher, it adds highlights, it corrects everything. If there are shadows that you made a little bit darker using the peach beige, the darker blender right here, you can just correct it and complete the burnishing and the blending process using your white pencil. Again, you don't have to keep it sharp. So right here is a little bit highlighted, these middle parts of her fingers, and you can extend the blending using the white on the some parts of the burnished areas where we use the peach page. Burnishing technique is really very quick. The layering is that is something that is takes a little bit more time. So this burnishing technique is really perfect for smooth skin tone, fair skin tones, and um, generally female skin tones. But it really depends on the reference photo. If the reference photo is not, there are reference photos with very intricate skin details and textures. Usually, if you burnish, you would be able to the textures has the tendency to disappear during the burnishing, but if this is a smooth skin tone like this, I think the burnishing works perfectly. So I really enjoy this last part of the burnishing using the white pencil, because you can see gradually the skin tone is becoming more realistic and well blended. And at the same time, you can see that it becomes more to look more like three-dimensional already. Maybe because while burnishing, you are able to put or to define the highlighted parts using this white. So I want to make this part a little bit lighter. So what I do is I'm gonna push harder. So you will see that the highlights become more and more visible. Again, the tooth of the paper is something that you want when you are layering, because you want to be able to layer as much layers of colors as needed based on your reference photo. But towards the end, you don't want to see them. You just want to see the tooth completely disappear and achieve a very nice, well-blended, smooth skin tone. And this is what I'm showing to you right now. So I'm almost done with the blending, and I'm just using the ultimate burnisher, which is the white pencil, the white Prismacolor right here. If you have any questions, reactions, or comments on this short tutorial on blending or burnishing, is welcome on my comment section. So feel free to say anything on this particular tutorial using colored pencils. This is focused on the most useful blending technique, which is the burnishing. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something on this live real-time colored pencils drawing tutorial. Thank you so much, and see you next time.